This will be a tropical weather briefing for the National Weather Service Jackson, Mississippi forecast area for September 10th, 2024. And so for this briefing, we're mainly going to be focusing all on Tropical Storm Francine. Right now, it's currently a tropical storm, but continuing to strengthen and expected to make landfall as a hurricane on the southern Louisiana coastline. The current track has shifted slightly to the east, and the main changes that we will go over today for our area is the changes to the threat of wind from the storm, the rainfall totals, and also some of the changes with the severe weather threat. Likely the most impactful portion of the storm will be the wind hazards, and there have been some expansions and changes to that, and we'll go over that as we go through the briefing. So right now, Tropical Storm Francine, 65 miles per hour over the northwestern Gulf of Mexico, and that is expected to continue to move to the northeast, some acceleration in the forward speed over the next day or so, with expected landfall into tomorrow night or later into Wednesday evening along the Louisiana Gulf Coast. And then expected to move in our area late Wednesday afternoon. We'll begin to see some impacts from those winds and further inland. As mentioned before, there were some changes to the wind hazards. We did introduce the earlier tropical storm watch has been expanded northward just south of the Interstate 20 corridor, and also expanded eastward all the way to Marion to Lamar counties in the southeast, and also Jefferson Davis. So the main corridor is kind of in the southern portion of that tropical storm watch area, where we probably have the highest probabilities of more damaging impacts. Here's the expected track of Francine, and as you can see that this is expected, as mentioned before, by Thursday morning to be moving across central Mississippi with potential for 45 mile per hour winds, and making landfall in the southern Louisiana coast as a Category 1 hurricane. The background of that includes the tropical storm probabilities, and most of those have increased and shifted further north, but they've also shifted further east with the eastward adjustment of that track. So they are approaching the 50 to 70% chance right in our southern portions of the area along the Highway 84 corridor. So there is an increasing likelihood of tropical storm impacts, especially from wind gust from the storm. So as mentioned before, the wind potential has shifted eastward. This is bringing the impacts further east and more inland. We did make adjustments to the local graphic with the elevated threat area coming in further northward as well. So as mentioned before, highest impacts, this is going to be dependent on where that makes landfall. So if there's any further eastward adjustments, that could be expanded further eastward along Highway 98 towards Jones, Forest County. But as of right now, those are not included in the current tropical storm watch. Main concerns with this look to be the main wind gust and down trees, power lines, and power outages. So that's really the main big concern that we're monitoring for this. The flooding threat has become a little more focused towards the Interstate 20 corridor, occur across the southern and central portions of the area. And as you can tell, we began to trim out the northwestern areas. This storm will be somewhat sheared, so there should be some potential for this to, as it moves inland, to decrease in intensity, but also the rainfall pattern will predominantly be along the track and the east of the track. So there could be some areas along the Mississippi River west of Natchez, Catahoula, Concordia, and right along the parishes in Louisiana that could potentially see some rain, but maybe it's a little bit on the lower threat than the 4 to 6. But right now, current track and forecast anticipation is for them to still remain in that elevated threat area. But we have begun the process of trimming out the northwestern side into far northern reaches of northeast Louisiana and extreme southeast Arkansas. And there's potential for further adjustments with this, with the wind and flooding threat as well. So as mentioned before, the highest rainfall will be along and south of Interstate 20, mainly along and east of that track. And so as you can tell, that does some of that heavy rain potential extends further north into north central Mississippi. The one thing to note is that we can handle some of these rainfall totals if they're a longer duration. But right near the center of the track, probably as it is decaying, moving into the Highway 84 corridor, maybe there could be potential for somewhat slightly heavier rates, and that could be the area of most concern. But we should be able to handle some of this rainfall that may limit some of the potential flooding impacts. And so with that being said, with tropical rains and there's some flooding threat as well, most of our focus has turned to the winds. There also will be a tornado threat in portions of northeast Louisiana, south central to eastern Mississippi. And as mentioned, the greatest threat will be to the south and east. And I'll kind of go through from Wednesday and into Thursday. That's going to be gradually shifting to the northeast. One thing I wanted to note is that as that inland marine air comes up northward into south central Mississippi, a lot of the best corridor of potential will be to our south there Wednesday, and then into Thursday as it progresses to the northeast, there will be an area of what we call a dry slot that could limit some potential further to the southwest and maybe focus some of the best potential more into southern Mississippi and into Alabama. So we're monitoring that, and there could be future adjustments to this graphic as well. So really, that's basically it. Right now, we haven't anticipated doing potential briefing tomorrow, again, at the same time at noon. And so with that, I'll open it up for any questions.